Hi, and welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. I'm your host, Kamaria Richmond, and we're doing a second segment on Christmas in April, which helps Prince George's County. And so we are talking to Mr. Dan Blades and Mr. Mel Franklin.
Mel Jenkins.
Jenkins, I'm sorry.
No worries.
So this segment, we want to talk about, you have this wonderful event. Well, because we are starting again, just give us a brief overlook about the company. Okay. About the organization.
So I'll take this time.
Go ahead.
Christmas in April is an organization that helps to repair and to provide services to the elderly, the infirm, for repair of their homes in Prince George's County. Possibly there's a disability that's involved or some type of a child challenge. And many times we find grandparents that are taking care of young children that are now that support to that child, and their homes are in need of care. And Prince George's County Christmas in April program steps in one time a year to help them with that part of those repairs.
Okay, and we talked earlier about there's a certain criteria that,
Yes,
that you need, and you're always asking for volunteers, and you have a lot of businesses that help and a lot of county support, which
Yes.
is great. But you also have this big event, a big golf tournament. So tell us about that and what it actually means for the nonprofit.
Dan, do you want to? Well, our largest event is the Christmas in April. It's the Susan, Mona, John Dennison golf tournament at Andrews Air Force Base. It is our single largest fundraiser. Without that, this program would just be impossible to manage. This year, it's been over the most recent years at Andrews Air Force Base, so we love you, Andrews. They've been an amazing support to the organization, and they also provide many house captains for us. So every year we have this wonderful golf tournament, somewhere between 300 to 400 golfers. We take all of the space that we can get, every green that they have, and it's an amazing day. And we get out there, the county executive, different sheriffs, local councilmen and councilwomen come out and cheer us on in the morning. We receive an amazing amount, and that's huge to us, is the donations we receive from sports organizations.
For silent auction, we have a silent auction that we put on, and we have donations that are made by, my goodness, hundreds of businesses that donate to that program for the silent auction. And of course, we have a piece of paper for each item. So you bid until it stops bidding, and then whoever bids the highest wins the item. And that's a very good fundraiser for the program.
It is 200 to 300,000 a year, and that's what it takes just to be the basis. Without the donation of essential items that we need, the cabinetry, the lumber, the plumbing materials, the paint. Paint is an amazing amount of paint. It's a huge cost because anyone, you can really make someone very happy with taking care of the safety and putting a new coat of paint on it. It brightens your outlook on life, and we try to do that at every home.
Just paper towels and Windex to clean things.
And I mean, that's really amazing because, like you said, sometimes that's all it takes. It's just a paint job to make the home look just special.
Or good cleaning.
Or good cleaning, right. And we talked earlier about you will do whatever you need to do that day. It could be doing someone's laundry or washing their car. And so you are getting a lot of support. But what is it with the golf program, do you think, that really draws people in?
Well, the golf program, what's essential about that is I think it begins with first that networking and building amongst them. You're talking about people that are usually like-minded, that want to support the program, that have different ideas. It isn't all about the board. It's more about those contractors, the unions, those support folks out in the banks, the essential services, the police the fire department, local unions, they all get out there, they come out and they golf. They're talking business amongst other things, but they're talking about Christmas in April. It begins to pass along ideas. They themselves reach out and do their own networks and discussion, and all of a sudden it begins to grow. This year we're looking, every year we have increased. This year is going to be very hard to top where our fundraising is before, and we are expecting actually somewhere around 180 to 190 applications. Last year, I do think it was 190 applications, and we're only able to, and I say able, it's not because we have to have a stop point, because we know the funds that are involved in repairing those homes. So we would like to do more and grow the volunteers, but of course that takes more funds. And we typically don't go around and ask for cash, although we'd love to have cash. We ask for support and services, and to support a fundraiser like this, come out and golf for a day, make a donation, and just get out and spend some time. And Dan alluded to this amazing silent auction. There is nothing like the silent auction that I've been to in Prince George's County, that you get an opportunity, and really some of these items are a steal.
It would fill this room.
Oh yeah, there'd be a table with everything
It would
around.
fill this room.
And we want more, and the golfers love it. Restaurants, our restaurants in Prince George's County, MGM, National Harbor, you hear me out there? We need those because people love that.
They'll
and
put
we'll
up
bid.
meals for a family,
Absolutely.
donate meals for a family, that, for the auction. So if you want to go out to eat,
Oh, wow. So
put your name down, or there's an array of everything on these tables. I mean, tools, there's sports stuff, there's
Tours in Annapolis
wine,
of one of
cheese, there's,
Oh.
you can't imagine
That's
the
really
array of stuff that comes. There's shirts, baseball shirts and stuff. I mean,
a
there's-
delegate, a
there's
representative will take
tickets.
you out to
Yeah,
lunch.
there's tickets
and you
to a
bid on it.
football
Yes.
game.
Okay.
I go
Signed
through the,
autographed flags that you can put outside your home. Signed books by a number of local historians or authors in Prince George's County. It's an amazing array that we get, and that is a huge end. Of course, there's always those big sponsors. Those big sponsors that come out and do For Golf and take that up and get our platinum sponsorship at $5,000. They get all of the service and the recognition and get those golf carts and get those golfers out on the greens, and they get their hot dogs and have some beer and come back into a full buffet lunch with some of the best fried chicken you could imagine through Andrews. So it's good.
many of those large sponsors are on the back of our T-shirt.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
Just tell us, well, I can't have you turn around, but tell us about a few.
Well, I'll start off. I'll tell you first, there's always Mona Electric that really was instrumental in starting this.
The founders.
The Dennison group with Dennison Landscaping are just enormous support. As a matter of fact, Susan, Mona, and John Dennison are, of course, who the golf tournament is in honor of as starting founders of this golf tournament. Then there's organizations like the company I work for, Southern Management. It's a property management company all around this local region. And we supply house captains and a coordinator. We have our whole little team that works right there. And you have other organizations that have very similar things throughout it. Bel Air, who else? I'm thinking of all of these, the housing.
Bel Air Engineering, for example, here in
Yes.
Bowie, they're an HVAC company, and they generally will come out and look at the houses where there's an air conditioning or heating issue. A lot of the houses do not have heat. Their furnaces are broken. It's cold.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
we try to, and we generally have 15 to 20 of those every year. And Bel Air Engineering steps up and does a lot of repairs, as does Southern Oil.
Southern Oil.
Southern Maryland
and
Oil.
the builders.
And they step up, and I know I had a house that they donated a complete furnace for the house. So,
And I mean, these materials that you're talking about are very expensive.
yes, some of them are.
Very
A furnace
expensive.
is expensive.
Yeah, it's, and so I'm thinking you need all the support you can get. You have the county, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. How has the county changed? How now is it's more dire to get these services than it's ever been before? So what's the change that you've noticed in, okay, people really need this now?
I think that several things have happened. We talked about gentrification off camera here, but it is happening within the county. There's also a huge spectrum within age now, and folks are moving in. From the county it's always been an affluent county, but it is really taking on a whole new level of affluence. It is growing. It's beginning to boom. I say watch out for Prince George's County in the next 25 years, other counties. But what has happened is that those folks that are moving in that are not familiar with the area, that are coming into the county for our new homes, our beautiful Prince George's County, they may not understand the makeup within the county or the specific challenges within different segments of the county, those small cities, those small areas of homes that have specific challenge. And there are aged homes now, what we called matured a little bit earlier in this segment. You have homes that they're 50 to 100 years old that need a lot of essential help now within the county. If you move into a Bladensburg, into a Capitol Heights, into a Landover, you have 50, 60, 70-year-old homes that are there that have these real challenges with plumbing and electrical. Or 100, yeah, absolutely. In Mount Rainier, in different segments in Hyattsville and Tacoma Park, and beautiful Bowie and Laurel.
We have,
Absolutely.
We have some old homes here in Bowie.
Absolutely. So
Date back when it was a railroad town.
it's a whole different, unless you've had that experience, you may want to come in as a volunteer, but you might not walk in completely aware of what the challenge may be in that home. And this is Christmas in April offers a great way to educate yourself about the county, because if you get involved in it at any level on any one day, you see the next step that is here. And the fact is that our aging population, they're not getting younger, they are aging. And in many cases here in the county, our grandparents are taking care of younger children. And the different diversity within the schools now. The county is diversifying, and so with diversification comes a real need for communication and understanding.
Yes. Now talk a little bit more about that. That's truly important.
It is important, and that's why I'm glad we have this amazing executive board and Mary and Judy and all those essential folks to really talk things through and to reach out to the contractors that we are essential to this program, and to the businessmen and women in the county, to talk to them and to tell them what the challenges are. That's an essential component, is the communication, and we get better at it each year because we see what is happening within the county, because it is rapidly changing, rapidly growing. It's an older county, and it has a huge need for essential services that the county may not be able to provide from a government standpoint. So it comes to volunteers.
Okay. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because as you get older, and grandma is taking care of the grandparents.
Yes.
And a lot of the parents they're working, or what you may have or whatever, but it is a lot now.
And don't talk about the cost of prescription, the cost of health care, all of that.
Yeah, they're under stress.
Yes.
They are under stress, and they
We're
need
under
the
stress.
support. Absolutely, we see that clearly.
And I can imagine that, because the healthcare system itself is it's a whole nother animal.
New world, right?
And you know what, you do need that help with the cost of the doctors, and if you have to go to the hospital, and the medications and the co-pays, and it's just nonstop. So you do get to a point where, okay, I'm going to pay the rent. Maybe I'll pay on my medication, maybe not. And my home needs it. The roof is leaking, or I need, a dishwasher, or I need a hot water heater, or
the gutters are falling off.
Right.
Wood is rotting. A door
Right.
is broken. But I need my medicine. I need my medication. And I need to be transported. A lot of folks are very infirmed within their own home. They almost become trapped within that home because they can't get out. I have personally worked on homes where homeowners cannot come out on their front porch because the porch is collapsing, and they can't go down the back door out of the home to get to the doctor's office because it is steps, and maybe those steps are in treacherous condition as well.
I've had them where they've been bedridden.
Right.
They can't even get out of bed.
And the other thing is that, just think of it, we become better educated, our children move away, they take on their own life, and all of a sudden grandma is there in the house, and the family is located across the United States or in the military or on some other amazing mission, and they need support. They need absolute support as soon as they can get it. And so we fill that need whenever we can.
And that's interesting that you say that, like if you are bedridden. Now, who does the work? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but if I need a ramp, do you put a ramp so that I can
Yeah, we
do
build
my
ramps.
wheelchairs?
We build ramps so that people that are not ambulatory, that need a walker or a wheelchair, they're able to get in and out of their house, or people can get them in and out of their house. So ramps are one of the things that we do build.
And it's expensive.
Right.
A ramp can easily be $5,000, and I know there's some carpenters that are probably out in your audience today saying, no, a ramp can be more than that, and you need a skilled carpenter. That's where our carpenters union is so important to us, so those folks that are in code in the county that help us with those items so that we can get those ramps built. That is so necessary.
I had a house this year where the deck was so rotten that the homeowner couldn't go out on the deck, and it had a ramp. So the whole thing had to be taken out, and a new deck was put in as well as a ramp for that house. And that
Well, we
it
just
was a
saw
wonderful.
Montgomery County,
Yeah.
2 weeks, 2 decks collapse. And it probably happens a lot in our own county, but it's not because there's 100 people out there. It's just rotted and fallen. I have been literally in a house that the roof is held up by 2x4s for a small
Ceilings.
home to hold the house up because there were so many water leaks. No heat in the winter. A basement full of raw sewage because plumbing. They flush the commode and it comes up in the basement. Then you have health issues related to environmental concerns because you have mold in the basement of the home. And when you get to large activities like that, that's where you have to really be careful because you have to be very health conscious for those folks that are living in that home. That's where I can help. That's what I do.
Yeah, and for the volunteer, and
Take care of the volunteer.
you have the skilled workers, but for those that are volunteering, what's the feedback like? So if I have to go into a home like that where there's raw sewage,
You can't.
We can't.
We don't send them.
We won't. We won't approve the house.
No. We have to find, unfortunately, we will reach out to organizations to see if they can provide some services. And it is, but that's a very expensive, just a cleanup can run thousands of dollars in a basement that's flooded like that. And so then you have multiple companies that would need to be involved. You've got to, find out what the plumbing concern to get to the root cause of why there's a plumbing backup. Then you have remediation of whatever it is, and hopefully it isn't drywall that has asbestos, or it's an older home with lead paint, and then you've got mold on top of it. Then you cut and remove it. Let's say we get a remediation company that comes in and says, I'll take care of it, we'll take everything out. But then what do you put back? You have rotten wood around the room.
Yeah.
You have to have carpenters to put it back. Then you have to put back drywall. What if there's been furniture? There's no carpeting. It's on concrete.
We've done all that.
We've had some very challenging circumstances, but what I will say is that when we come to something like that, Dan and us and the coordinators, we know. We let the executive know, Mary, and what we do is try to reach out and get someone to help us, but in no way do we want to put those volunteers in harm's way. No.
And so when you're doing this major work, then we're talking more than a day. You know, we have the beautiful, you know, Christmas in April.
That's the heavy house.
But for the heavy house, how much longer? I mean, how much
Well,
do you
I've
do
had
it?
houses that I've been involved with for 6 months.
That's out of the
So-
goodness of his heart, because we
Wow.
want to
That's
do
right.
it in one day.
We want to do it in one day.
But he doesn't walk away from
we
a
have
house.
houses that are so in trouble that you cannot get the house back functioning in a good way without putting in a lot of time. And that's not, I know the program isn't built for a long-term effort, but there are some folks that do.
Absolutely.
Some volunteers that do put in an extra effort. We have volunteers and house captains that will come in and do before the day of the event. They'll come in 2 weeks before the event and do all the prep work. So all the plastering and all that kind of stuff has to be done before the day of the event. That's all done. So when people come in, they can
Right.
do a little bit of sanding and put paint
Okay.
on. So there's a lot of prep work beforehand that generally gets done on some of these houses. Then there's a lot of work that gets done after the event. Some of the work that was started didn't get finished, that has to be finished. And then we have some other tasks that are very important to the homeowner, that some folks will just stick with it till it gets completed.
We do ask the homeowner, what do
Prioritize.
you want? What would you wish for?
Right.
And it's so amazing that you see someone living in this really, a very meager means under really strange circumstances, and they say, I would just really like if I could open and close that door so it would lock. And we're like, but you don't want a new floor? We can put you a new light fixture. And they're like, no, just please fix my door. And it's really incredible when you get those stories and you see those folks. That's what is the reward here, is when you do have those folks, because every one of them appreciates everything
Everything you
that they're
do for 'em.
receiving. And that feedback is just is beyond compare. But you want to try to give them something on their wish list. But sometimes when you're doing, as Dan said, and you're doing prep and you're replacing drywall, you're not going to get it done on the day of the event.
Right.
So you have to prep it to get it ready, because again, we go back to those volunteers. You want them satisfied.
Right.
So you begin to shift your folks that are in your house. He may have someone that's really good as a drywall and plaster that can do that to get it prepared, because he's got a house of 25 people that may have no heavy skills like that, and so they're going to be doing painting and cleaning. We find a way to get it done, and it always seems to get done in a manner that works.
That
Be
works.
proud of.
Yes.
You'd be proud of.
And
Yes.
because I guess I wasn't really thinking about that before. You know what? I might just need paint. You know, and it's not going to take you all day. Or I might just need a light fixture.
Right.
So some houses we consider to be light, like the one I mentioned when I showed up as the area coordinator. The inspector and the team were gone. And I said,
Right.
what in the world, aren't they coming? And I called them up and they said, well, we're finished. So that was
done it.
not a whole lot of work to be done at that particular house.
And I love it. You ask the homeowner, what is it that you want, and what is it that you need?
Well, they have on the application, the homeowner generally outlines what they want to have done at their house. So when we come in to do the inspection, we have that information. And we ask them we sit down with them to explain the program, then we ask them to show us, take us around the house and show us these items. And we'll take our camera, we'll take pictures of the stuff. And And then we'll sit down with the homeowner afterwards and we'll say, well, which one of these are most important? Of course, we know, because we've done a lot of these, which ones, if you got a leaky toilet, you know, that's going to probably be very high
in the
Right.
priority.
in the list, as
Right.
opposed to putting paint on a wall. So there's so you know there's some priority if you got leaking sinks and that kind of thing. So the priorities are kind of obvious on some of those things. But anyway, like Val mentioned, we try to address those priorities that the homeowner has, because after all, they're the ones that are going to be living there when we leave.
Right.
And
Safety first.
And safety
Right,
first.
the safety.
We put in a lot of grab bars, for example, in
Yes.
bathrooms, so that the elderly have something to grab hold of when they take
Right.
a shower or use the toilet.
And that's important. And how, besides the big golf tournament, how can people just donate? Like, I just want to donate. How do people do that?
Well, a couple of ways. Is reaching out to the website is first really important, because you are able to do that online, or you can reach out to the office. So we said earlier, www.christmasinapril.pg.org, or you can call the office at 301-868-0937 and speak to someone directly about it. So, of course, we love the checks and love the money that comes that way. But the other ways that we talked about is making the donations. The different restaurants that provide us, they'll have lunch and dinner and give us 15-20% of their proceeds, or through the golf tournament that we have. Different folks through the silent auction donate those items, and then the auction, of course, that's 100% goes to Christmas in April program. So those are the ways that you could do, and then give of your heart. Come and volunteer a day and spend some time with us.
Well, Mel and Dan, thank you so much for talking about Christmas in April. It's a great, great program, and you'll have all the information. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.